Good morning, everybody. Mark Finan here in the Home Weather Office on this Tuesday morning. It's now the 16th day of June, 2026, and this is the morning briefing. We have a really nice morning. It's a very comfortable morning here at the Home Weather Office. We have blue sky, and as you can see, the oak tree out front that keeps the Home Weather Office nice and shaded on these hot summer days. It's moving around. There's a bit of a delta breeze working this morning, making for a comfortable morning. And we'll see more of that same sort of wind direction today. And just like yesterday, there'll be some areas that stay relatively comfortable for this time of year. Low 90s perhaps, maybe mid 90s. But then parts of the valley, like the north end of the valley, that'll still be quite hot. Temperatures well above 100 degrees. But everybody will start to see more in the way of cooling as we get toward the end of the week. Let's take a look at the satellite this morning. It looks a lot like what we saw yesterday. We have a pretty good marine layer pushed inland. We have marine layer here on the coast, kind of retreating here up on the north coast, rather socked in around Monterey and for those playing Cypress Point today, lucky dogs, and then down through the Salinas Valley, as you can see. Extensive fog that will retreat to the coast. But if you have this and the onshore breeze, well, you're in for a nice day, at least in the areas closest to the areas where that cool air can move inland. The north end of the valley isn't quite as lucky as that. You also see some clouds dropping down from the north here, and I'll show you what all that means here in just a second. Yesterday, Sacramento topped out at 91 at Executive Airport after a low of 59. For mid-June, yeah, that's not bad. It's slightly above average, but, the average is the average. This is really in a really pretty good range. And a lot of missing data lately. Redding and Red Bluff both didn't report, but they were over 100 degrees after overnight lows in the 70s. So even with the overnight lows, you can see the influence of the onshore breeze keeping Sacramento at 59, whereas Redding saw an overnight low of 72. And again, this was for yesterday. So we saw a bit of that flow from the north, and here it is on the backside of this ridge, turning into a bit of an offshore flow here. Then as we head into the day on Wednesday, there's a little vort that begins to come up this way, just a little ripple, and that is likely going to be touching off more afternoon showers in the Sierra. This is just enough instability to cause the lift in the high terrain, but while the valley stays clear. And then as we head toward the end of the week, let's get into Friday. This is Friday. Nice little trough, not just a little vort, but a nice little trough. The ridge gets pushed out here and then here, leaving California in a really nice position. So if you have outdoor plans Friday, Saturday, Sunday, man, it's going to be nice. And then, another trough beyond that as we head through next week. So, going forward, I don't see anything too hot. But as I mentioned, today we will still see some heat. This is the HRRR at 4 o'clock this afternoon, showing Redding at 107, while Sacramento's at 92. Yeah, and even look at the difference between Chico and Redding. So, it could be quite hot in the north end of the valley. The onshore breeze will bring in cooling again tonight so that by early tomorrow morning, we're in the 50s and the low 60s, but Redding still around 71. And then what about tomorrow afternoon? Tomorrow afternoon at 5 p.m., Redding coming down to 102, but Sacramento 84. Man, really, really nice. Now, as I mentioned, this would be Wednesday. As I mentioned, as that little trough goes by on Wednesday, we're likely going to see some afternoon showers. The RRFS is not showing anything today, but then on Wednesday, this is Wednesday at 11 a.m., you can see these showers pop up again. This is at 3 p.m. Similar locations to what we saw 2 days ago. And don't be surprised if with the offshore flow that we get the thunderstorms develop over the high Sierra and then the clouds drift down. So if you're in a place like Angels Camp or Sonora, you may see the clouds come your way in the late afternoon on Wednesday, but the rain would stay well up the hill. This run of the RRFS only goes through early Thursday. Let me back up to the 6Z run and see what this has to say, because the 12Z run is still coming in. So this is Thursday. Yeah, more extensive activity on Thursday, including into Plumas County and maybe down toward the Truckee area and Tahoe. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same thing on Friday. So if your weekend plans include being around Tahoe, we could be seeing some afternoon showers there. And it is Father's Day weekend. Yeah, it might be a popular weekend to be around Tahoe. For fun, let's just see how the GFS looks as we look at the weekend and the chance of afternoon showers. As I just did that, you could see the difference between the high resolution RRFS. Let me go back to that. You see how this shows discrete cells like this? And then you go to the GFS with its low resolution, and it shows areas like this. A rather graphic example of the difference in those models. Again, this is Thursday. Also, the other thing that jumps out at me is this gradient. The black lines here, ISO bars, and the flow goes perpendicular to the ISO bars. That means there's a good onshore flow, which would mean that Thursday would be another very comfortable day. This is Friday, once again showing afternoon showers in the Sierra. What about Saturday? Saturday, not so much. And also leaving Sunday without any of that too, which is nice. We'll see how that develops to see if the HRRR can pick up on that as we go get closer to it. But right now, the weekend looks as though it's going to be comfortable with temperatures maybe in the 80s or maybe low 90s in some of the warmest spots, but pretty nice for anything outdoors for Father's Day weekend. Yeah, so pretty nice. The north end of the valley, yeah, for those of you in Redding, yeah, pretty hot day today. But once you get a little south of that, and especially in areas south of Highway 20, a comfortable day today. It looks like the rest of the week is going to be pretty comfortable too. And then Wednesday and Thursday, and probably Friday, just keep an eye on the Sierra as we will see some afternoon showers. One of those things just to kind of keep in mind, especially if you're planning on taking a hike in the high Sierra, those elevations above 8,000 feet. They are susceptible to those afternoon downpours and perhaps some lightning. So just kind of be aware of that if you are doing any extended activity in those highest elevations. That's everything I got for you on this Tuesday morning. Man, it's a beauty. I'm going to get out and enjoy it. Hope you do too. Make it a great day. I'll talk with you later.